Good morning, traders. It's 8:01 a.m. Chicago time on Thursday, the 24th of March, 2022. Thanks for joining me on episode number 2198. Let's first get a quick mic check just to make sure. We've had some trouble with sound lately for whatever reason. I just want to see if we're good. I want to remind you that derivatives trading is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. This morning, neutral stance as the S&P holds yesterday's low by one tick and pushes back basically right into the range. We see that across the board. The S&P is up 23 points. The Dow's 129. The Nasdaq's 92 points. And the Russell 10 points. Europe is mostly flat. Crude is coming off of yesterday's high, which was over $116, and is trading at 114. Crude really looks like it is propping up to attack that $130.50 high that it put in. Gold still hovering around $19.50. Silver seeing a bit of a pop, not much there. And crypto holding on to recent gains and continuing to put the pressure on sellers. What's on deck? Really not much. Fed speakers continue. We've had comments from central bankers galore. We have Fed's Waller coming up at 9:10. Market composite at 15 minutes after the open. The market numbers, the market PMI numbers at 15 minutes after the open. And then we have Fed's Evans, Fed's Bostic. And then this evening, GFK, consumer confidence out of Great Britain. Before the market, we got market manufacturing PMI for Germany, a key figure. Came in quite strong, 57.6 versus 55.8. Great Britain had its market manufacturing PMI number as well. Came in a little bit soft, 55.5 versus 56.7. The U.S. released its durable goods orders, seeing a substantial drop, down 2.2%. The expectation was negative 0.5%. Initial claims much lower than expected. 187,000 actual for March for the last week versus 212 expected. Much lower claims than expected. Looking at the S&P, pretty standard volume. Pretty standard volume at 159,000 traded up to this point. The range is 35.5 points, which is still wider than the expectation, but overall relatively wide. There's still a fair amount of volatility in the trade. Point of control so far, 44.69, moved down from 44.75 to 44.70, and now 44.69. And the inventory is almost 100% long. It's 98.7% long, meaning that 98.7% of the volume that has traded so far in the session. Wow, there's a lot of chatter. Holy cow, I had to turn down the news feed. It means that 98.7% of the volume traded at price has occurred above prior day's settlement. P-shaped profile overnight. We'll go over that in a second. Yesterday, just a brief overview of what was expected. I won't get too much into this, but we talked about the very likelihood with the pressure pointing downwards. The pressure pointing downwards here, the expectation is we test a 58 figure. The 58 figure is likely to be the big test. And that was pretty much spot on, the high and the low for the session. So I expected an open auction that pushes to 44.90, makes a turn at 90. I expected a fair amount of resistance down to 58. That's the key trade or the key idea of the day. here's what happened. I know that there seem to be a lot of lines on here, but overall, it's a pretty straightforward play. We're looking at, well, let's clean it up for you here a little bit. Market opens, open auction, down, up, consolidate, and then there's the 90 right there, 44.90. We hit the 90, pull back. We poke through the 90 by a little bit. Yesterday's high during the session was 93.75. We could not get back. We were trading inside of Friday's range, but we couldn't get the gap, the internal gap to settle, or gap to close. And then we proceed to move down, and there's the 56 that was outlined right here. The 56, so 90 to 56 was the expectation for scenario one. That was on point. I expected the market to top out and turn over on yesterday, and I expected to continue. I expected it to continue to push down into the 50. The 50 was key. We slipped through the 50 into the 46. What was the low? 46 points. Yep, 44, 46 even. We slipped down here, but very quickly overnight we came back and we're trading right in this box. So this is a pretty decent sized zipper zone here, a compression zone, and there is the over under for the session is right in here. It's at 67 or so. It's highlighted in the stock zones. It's 65 actually, 65, 66 highlighted in our stock zones. And we are right just a tad above it. We're at this dividing point for today. So yesterday had multi-distribution, but really there are two distributions to yesterday's trade. We finished neutral extreme down yesterday, which was relatively bearish. But the overnight session, let's look at the overnight. The overnight, so this is the blue profiles represent the RTH. The orange profile represent the entire session, and so far this represents just the overnight so far. And you can see that we pushed one tick below yesterday's low, and then with a neutral extreme down, we expect that low to be taken, a 46 to be taken. It took it out by one tick before we got a drive back up, and we are trading right in the middle of the range. The point of control being right at the over underline. The market is shaping up to be balanced a little bit. Okay? So we're opening inside of yesterday's range, no gap. Yesterday we opened inside of Friday's range, no gap. There's an internal gap which doesn't have the same significance as an external gap or a gap zone, and that's what's going on. So despite the fact that we have rallied, Delta is relatively weak. Important to note that this is the case, and I, from what I see here, what we saw yesterday is a break of the one-time framing up. So we've been one-time framing up, up, up. We broke that yesterday, so the one-time framing is neutral now, and we need to see if it'll take out the 46 and hold. It really doesn't have to take out the 46. It has to hold the 93.75 from yesterday. If it holds the 93.75 from yesterday, then we may be starting a trend down on the daily. Okay, a trend down on the daily, and we expect the 46 to go. And in that situation, we're looking for it to push, to roll over into 44.04, and then eventually 33.51, 43.51, and 43.34 is the mid of this entire rally that started last Tuesday a week ago. So the big target, and that being 50% in combination with the fact that that is the MC point of control. It is the point of control for this entire region, 43.34 again. Deformer 43.43 is still in play. It's the 50% point. So if you look at the RTH and you go from the swing low to the swing high, which was last Friday, and look at the mid, 43.34.50, which is the MC point of control. I just want to make sure we understand that. That's likely to be a magnet. Once we get below 4,400, that'll be the magnet 43.34. Swing traders might want to take a look at swinging into that level. So that's the lay of the land. This is what we've got so far. So if we look at what, let's get rid of this. If we look at how things are shaping up, let's go back to Edge Pro X. This is the play. So we've got this low here, 41.52 and a quarter. We've got the high here at 45.14.75. The mid is right in here. The mid is right in here. And that's the point of control of this region. To me, this looks like it is likely to start moving down. You could see that if we clear the 4,400, we would be clearing that low volume node in this area. And that's the over-under line right here. The big over-under line in this region is right here at 44.06. And if we clear that, then we are likely to make our way to 43.34 very, very quickly. Okay? But if we hold today, if we hold that low and start challenging and push to 93.75, then that 45.14 is likely to be gone. And the next level up is 45.60. I want you to think in terms of a price map. It's not, trading isn't always an if-then-else statement, but the auction is. The auction is basically, here are the facts, here's what's in front of me, and it's done X, it's trying to do Y, it has failed to do X, it's pushed through Y, and now we're looking for the next move, and so on and so forth. This chart here is a 1 tick by 20 PNF chart. The blue profiles, again, are day session profiles. The orange are overnight profiles, and you can see that we've really done a good job shifting the point of control up as we moved up. And we're holding these higher prices pretty good. And then yesterday we tested this this point of control at 44.46. And today the question is, do you continue pushing higher? Do we take out that 94 area, or do we hold this downslope line, which is what I'm expecting, and do we start working ourselves back towards the key area below 43.34 right here? Okay, so that's what we're looking for today. There's not much more to say here other than a lot of news is baked in. A ton of news is baked in, unless Putin does something crazy like using chemical or biological weapons or nuclear, God forbid. There's a lot of just bullshit going on, a lot of propaganda, war type news. That's the big unknown right now. But everything else is baked in, and that's what pushes this rally, right? I talked a week ago, was it a week or two ago? I said a very prominent influencer in trading is like, man, with all this news, you know, I don't see how, with all this terrible news, I don't see how anyone can think bullish. And I made a comment, I don't know if some of you are here to hear it or remember it. I made a comment that is really the opposite of how you should think as a trader. If the news is all known and it looks terrible, it is already in there, and it's likely it's time for a squeeze. And what we did, not that I'm saying that I'm right, what it did is it did squeeze. And so to me right now, a lot of news is baked in and there isn't much flow, which tells me what is your guess? Given that information, what is likely to happen, knowing that a lot of news has been baked in, that the Fed decision was done, that the next meeting we know they're going to raise again. The X factor is Ukraine still, and we've already rallied. What do you think is likely to take place from here? Just think like a fund manager who's managing $1 billion. What is your position going to be for your clients? Balance, very good. Nothing to price in. So expect this to start trading in boxes, right? It'll likely start trading in boxes here as we shift lower. So expect it to move, consolidate, move, consolidate, move, consolidate. So let's not get too overzealous with our big targets, our 20 or 30 point targets or whatever, unless you're willing to hold for a long period of time. Expect a compression in range. Expect a drop in volume, which we've already had. Expect a drop in volatility in the rotations, which we are already having. So this is all good. This is all just natural. Okay, so I just want to throw it out there. Make sure that you understand how these things impact. A quick thing. Next Wednesday, I'll be on Futures Radio Show to talk about how to trade sustainably, the how-to of trading sustainably. The goal for me showing up on a Futures Radio Show, which I'll be doing for the next 12 months, EdgeClear is a sponsor of the show. EdgeClear will be giving away these $400 Bose headsets that you can use to journal or connect with other traders for your Zoom calls or whatever. These are outstanding headsets. We'll be giving away 3 of those. We'll be selecting 3 winners and 3 runners up next Wednesday. Make sure your entry is in by 11 a.m. Eastern U.S. time, 11 a.m. Eastern U.S. time on Thursday. Wednesday, you can go ahead and go to edgeclear.com/deli already and input your name. Look at the rules, please. And then what I'll be doing is getting on, and my intent for this series that I'm doing with Futures Radio Show is to provide actionable trading tips for those of you who want to be professional traders or who want to elevate their game. Again, edgeclear.com/deli, edgeclear.com/deli. Input your name at the top of the form, and the show will be on at 12 Eastern next Wednesday. And during the show, we're going to do the picker wheel and randomly and publicly in the live stream select 3 winners and 3 runners up in case those winners don't qualify for whatever reason. Please go ahead and do that as soon as you can. Let's take a look at what's expected for today. So let me bring this to a more reasonable level here. In fact, let me turn on the labels for... Okay, so 1 sigma down is 43.80. This morning, open auction, we're up against yesterday's point of control, which is right here. Okay, open auction. So the overnight point of control and yesterday's point of control are kind of in line, kind of. I'm expecting this to open, test higher. I'm looking for sellers to step back in and take back what they did this morning. This puts us under the over-under line, which is at 65. It brings us into that lower distribution from yesterday. And I'm expecting us to sell off to the next level down, which is 44.32, and then to push into the 44.20. The 1 sigma line is down here. It's a little bit far, but I'm expecting us to continue to ride this downtrend and to establish the one-time framing down on the daily. If we fail to do that, if instead we have an open auction that pulls back, pushes into the 57 and last week's settlement of 53.5, and then gets back to the open, and then the open becomes a floor, then we are likely to aim for this 94, and we're back to the magnet. We're back to the magnet at 4,500, and what this is saying is this is a flag that is forming based on last week's rally, and we are likely to continue up into the 4560 area. These are the two key scenarios. We're opening in range, in value, and we're likely to open relatively choppy. A lot has been priced in already, and I don't see anything on the news that's likely to push us around. Who knows what these Fed speakers are going to say? Heard someone who was relatively dovish this morning. Don't remember who it was. Kashkari came out. He says there's a danger to overdoing it on rate hikes already moved the path of rates quite dramatically over the past 6 months. So pretty dovish. He's a voting member next year. So that's the X factor. But overall, I think everything's been priced in. Keep an eye on yields overall and keep an eye on your risk. Good luck today. Take care. Don't forget to sign up. edgeclear.com/deli. edgeclear.com/deli. People who join EdgeClear from that page should use the deli-edge code to get lower rates out of EdgeClear. EdgeClear was founded and created by me with an outstanding team of brokers. I want to disclose that I have a financial interest in the firm since I own it. Good luck.